Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of Funny Girl Abroad. This is me, Aliki, the one in question, and today I'm gonna talk to you about one of my favorite topics ever, which is getting lost in other countries. I suppose I am the kind of person that both gets lost and also loves adventure. And you know what? Somebody would say this is not a good mix. Okay, somebody would say if you're gonna get lost, if you're gonna cause problems and issues and dangers to yourself, then you're better off in the indoors, okay, in a safe, contained environment, in between different doors at all times. But let me be the one to disagree here. Let me be the one who says, you know what, my imaginary friend, you're completely wrong. You're completely on the wrong. Because getting lost, what is it if not another great adventure? So it becomes this kind of continuous circle of enjoyment where going on adventures causes you to get lost, and getting lost causes just more adventures, right? Right? No, of course not. Of course not. It's actually it's quite painful getting lost. Let's be honest. It's a traumatic experience. It looks like an adventure in hindsight. It looks like an adventure when you talk about it. Okay, was I? Oh my God, how much fun am I having? I should do this again soon. No, never, not even a moment. Okay, all of this was something that I went through thinking, why is this happening to me? I'm never leaving home again. I don't think this is necessary. If you're the kind of person that gets lost a lot, you'll probably identify with this. And I'm convinced that this is just different types of people. There's types of people that don't ever get lost, that they're just like, oh yeah, I know this place, I've been here. And here it's like a whole town. For me, this is insane. What does it mean, I've been here? I've been here means one thing, I've gotten lost here before. That's what it means. Yeah, I got lost here before, I'm gonna get lost here again. This type of person that's like, yeah, I've been here, of course I remember every single street and how to get from anywhere. And this is hilarious to me. My mind cannot comprehend this. I'm the kind of person that gets lost. And I know that about myself. Even if I didn't know that, even if I was completely delulu and hadn't noticed the amount of times I get lost, I would definitely know that because of how often other people mention it. I mean, it's ridiculous. Every single person I know has a story about the time that I got lost in an extreme and embarrassing, deeply embarrassing way. You know, every single person, like, oh, you remember when we were supposed to meet at this cafe, and then you told me you were on the way, but then you never came because you were in the bus of the opposite direction, and then you went the opposite direction and you ended up in the other end of the city, and you were like, oh, but I'm on the right bus, I see it now, it says 229, what's happening? There's something wrong with buses. You remember that? Yeah. Yeah, I remember it. I do. I remember it because, you know, you mention it every time you introduce me to any single person. That's how I get introduced. I mean, seriously, people just introduce me to others and they say, oh yeah, she's the one that I was telling you that got lost in the bus and she was going to the other place, and like, she's the one that I had to leave to go get. That's a big one. I mean, I can't even begin about the number of people that know me as the one that their friend had to leave to go get and then bring at the place. It's almost guaranteed if I'm coming to find you in whatever place you are in, it's almost guaranteed at some point during the evening, statistically it's an evening, I'm gonna call, I'm gonna be like, can't find it. Sorry, can't find it. I looked around, I looked everywhere, can't find it. Just like that, you know, like it's an earring. Like my earring fell down on the floor and I'm looking for it. And I'm like, yeah, I can't find it anywhere. You know, it's so tiny, just a little earring. Where is it? If anybody sees it, let me know. No, it's not. It's not a tiny piece of jewelry. It's not a button. It's not an electricity socket in a weird position. No, it's a building. Okay, it's a like 7 floor, however, 100 meters high building with a number on it. It has a number on it. And then several other numbers around in other buildings are leading up to it mathematically. You follow the numbers and then you end up in the huge building with a very distinct and recognizable number on it. Can't find it, sorry, can't find it. Somebody can come and get me, maybe. This is the story of my life. Okay, this is who I am. Hi, hello, nice to meet you. This is who I am, this is how I spend my life. And it is extremely ridiculous and deeply embarrassing when it happens. But also, like, what you gonna do about it? How many times was I in this position and felt this overwhelming impulse to, like, you know what? Let's just go. Let's just give up. I can just turn around right now and go back home and tell them that I changed my mind and I don't want to be friends anymore. Okay, I think that's probably less embarrassing than everything that comes right after. I haven't done this, but I need you to know that every single time I've been close. I have a ton of getting lost stories. They're probably gonna make a much longer anthology. Okay, a big part of this podcast, I think, is gonna be an anthology of all of my getting lost stories that are gonna start piling up. Because I just opened this, let me tell you, once I opened this box with the getting lost in places stories, it's like, the genie's out, we can't go back to how we were before again. So this is the story of how I got lost in France. The first time, because I've been to France again, and inevitably I've gotten lost again, of course. I'm not like one of those people. I know my way around. I've been to France before. There's nothing. I don't need maps. No, you don't have to come get me. I've been to France before. I know everything. Okay, not that kind of person. I went to Paris to see my friend that lived there, had moved there just, I think, a couple of years ago, something like this. See her, spend some time, see the city. Never been to Paris before. Very excited about that. I also speak some French, so I was so happy to practice my French. It was a low-risk operation, let's call it that way, because my friend would be there and she'd be with me pretty much at all times because she knows me and she knows the risks to letting me alone in the city. So she was gonna be around me for most of the time. But then there was this one day, just one day that my friend was working during the day. So during the day, I decided to go sightseeing by myself. I would go to all those, kind of touristy, boring places that my friend had probably seen already a million times, and I wouldn't want to drag her to those again. I was gonna do those, Eiffel Tower, Notre-Dame, whatever, and then together we'd go to the more interesting places. I do not remember if at the time I had a very old smartphone or if I was still in my burner phone phase. Now, I have had a very long, ridiculously long burner phone phase that I didn't have any smartphones. I only had like very old, super cheap, basically burner phones. And the reason for this was because I would lose them a lot. And I didn't want to have to replace them, so I figured it's better to just like have the cheapest phone and not worry too much about losing it. Yeah, that bad. I mean, it usually goes together. The kind of people that lose stuff are also more prone to losing themselves in stuff. It makes sense. I can't quite explain it, but it feels like intuitively, it feels like the same type of person that would tell you, hey, can you come pick me up? They would also tell you, oh my God, have you seen my phone? It was all gonna be amazing, really. Except I forgot to charge my phone. I mean, how fun, right? I forgot to charge my phone and my phone ran out of battery. And it put me again in this vintage situation where you're out in the city with nothing but yourself. And one moment it's a city, the next it's a jungle. Okay, it's not a walk anymore, it's not an errand anymore, it's a safari basically. It's like, it's all the wild. Every step can be your last. You just have to really, really focus, open up your senses, be ready for like stimuli, and try to make the environment your friend and not your enemy. And when this happens to you, first of all, it helps to be extroverted. I don't really know if I've gotten comfortable getting lost because I'm extroverted and I can always talk to people and ask people about for directions or whatever. Or if it's the other way around, if I've gotten extroverted simply by need, because it was either this or I would still be lost in a place, you know. I would still probably be on my way back from like English lesson at 8 years old, somewhere in in the street of my hometown, just going in circles around the central square for like years and years. When this happens, I'm talking to people and I'm asking, it's vintage and it's also dramatic. It's really dramatic, you know. I feel like I'm in an ancient Greek tragedy or something. I just roam around the street and I see someone and I'm like, hey, stranger, is this Valalawagen or, or whatever street it is I'm looking at? Is this the street? And the stranger looks at me and they say, yes. Yes, where do you want to go? And I say, oh, I come from a far away lands. Tell me, have you seen, what way do the numbers go? Do they go this way or that way? And they tell me they go this way, and then I go, thank you, stranger. And then we both go our separate ways. That's pretty much it, okay? I mean, you know it. Okay, there are some people that you ask for directions to go to a place and they have no idea, but they don't want to admit it, so they just send you somewhere. And this kind of person is my least favorite kind of person in the world. I have zero shame in that matter. If you ask me for directions, if I'm not a million times sure, I'm not sending you anywhere. I'm just gonna tell you, I don't know. And some people do try to shame you. They say, oh, you're not from here. Like, yeah, no, I'm from here. This is my house, right? I'm right next to my house right now. I do not know how to tell you where you're going. I am an idiot. I'm sorry. I admit guilty on all charges. I'm just thinking about you, buddy, okay? I mean, this is what it is. But there are people that are so self-conscious about admitting, they even admitting that they don't know the way to a place. I don't believe they're lying exactly. I believe they persuade themselves that they know at that moment. I think they say, no, there's no way, I don't know, for sure I know. It must be that way. It must be. This isn't that lovely? That's how you lie to yourself. You're like, yeah, it must be that way. Is it though? Well, it must be. Then it is. If it must be, how was this line in Succession that cousin Greg, was it cousin Greg? Cousin Greg used to say, if it if it is to be said, so it is, so it be. Something like that. Something like this. Okay. So please don't do this. Please don't send people to random places. I mean, I'm sure in some level we do deserve it for like putting our lives so kindly in the hands of strangers. But maybe you're not the one that has to throw the first stone. Okay, take it easy. Take it easy now. I think that it's much better to just admit that you don't know. But for every horrible person, there is an amazing one. And on the contrary of this type of person, there's the exact opposite type of person, which is my favorite type of person. And those are the people that when you ask them how to go to a place, not only they tell you, they take it as their own personal business. Their mission in life becomes that you make it to that place now. Okay, safe and sound. They just basically follow you. No, they don't follow you. That sounds creepy. They follow you. Follow them, if anything. Okay, they show you the way, and you follow them to the place. And I don't know why this happens, to be honest. I don't know if it's just the kindness of this person's heart, or if it's more that I look so spacey as I'm getting the directions. You see where I'm going with this? I don't know if it's something to do with my face. Okay, my facial expression, my eyes position, and like overall vibe as I'm getting the directions the person's giving me. Because I think it might have something to do with that, but they look at me as they tell me the directions, and they give up basically in real time, and they go, so it's something like, yeah, and then you take the right again, and you know what, I'm just gonna, just follow me, I'm just gonna take you there. Okay. I think they just give up because they look deep in my eyes and they realize there's not a chance in million I'm gonna be able to actually do that. To go back to the main story, I'm in France, I'm sightseeing, my phone's out of battery. Again, I decide to put my day kindly in the hands of strangers. I mean, what can possibly go wrong? And I ask people about how to go to Notre-Dame. This is the place that I think my phone ran out of battery just before I was able to see it. And I start asking people just, how can I go to Notre-Dame? If somebody asks you about how to go to some of the biggest sightseeings in your city or your town, you probably can't tell them like street to street exactly where to turn to go there, but you can give a general pointer, right? At least the subway station. You should be able to remember by heart. I start asking people, and indeed, everybody I ask about where's Notre Dame has an answer for me, and they seem quite confident. And I ask 2-3 people just to be sure, because like I said, there are people in the world, there are people among us that, well, let's just say they do not have your best interests in mind. So I just want to be sure. So I ask 2-3 people for certainty, and they send me to the same direction. And I take all the subways and do everything and go to the place, and I see a church which looks like a church because it is a church. I mean, there's no doubt about that. That's a church that I'm looking at right now. Okay, now, is this the church that like I've seen in photos and the Disney movie, and is that it? Is it the Notre Dame from the postcards? I mean, I don't think so. For a moment, I did doubt myself. I was like, oh, maybe that's the back entrance. That's the other side. That's the back door to the Notre Dame. That wasn't in the movie. We haven't seen it. We don't know. Or maybe they are, I don't know, renovating. Maybe they have a second church, and then the biggest church is like across the street or something. Everything crossed my mind at that moment. Okay, everything. And then I was like, let's just double check this. Let's troubleshoot this. I started asking some more people, which is apparently my solution to everything. And everybody was like, yeah, this is Notre Dame. And I was like, okay, French person doesn't know what Notre Dame looks like. That's embarrassing. I mean, I don't know what to say to you. You should really go open a postcard, okay, so you know what things look like. Go to another person. Once again, this is Notre Dame. After a while, I have come to realize that this is Notre Dame. I have also come to realize that Notre Dame is more like an umbrella term that includes a lot of churches, all devoted to Her Holiness Mary, Mother of Jesus. And not just one specific. It's like asking, how can I go to the Saint, whatever. Who's a popular saint? Saint John, maybe? How about Saint John? How can I go to Saint John's? Okay, there can be a million, at least in Greece, because there's also a lot of Johns. I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. let's just leave this section altogether. But the thing is, there's a million Notre-Dames in France. Okay, it's not just the one that you know. You know the famous one. Okay, mainstream, normie alert. There's a million Notre-Dames. Now, how did all those people see somebody that is obviously not from the country asking them how to go to Notre-Dame, and they didn't immediately think that I'm obviously asking about the one Notre-Dame, you know? How did they listen to me asking and they actually, honestly, really thought that I was going to the Notre-Dame of the Quartier Arrondissement, the fourth most known Notre-Dame, the Montmartre Notre Dame or the whatever, I don't even remember where I was. Okay, for why? Because they have a nice place with hot dogs across the street. Because I've heard about its beautiful special waxy candles. Because they've replaced the windows and I wanna go check the job on the new windows they placed in their new Notre Dame. Because I was devoted to it when I was a little kid and now I just have to see it through. In full honesty, what I think actually happened was that, well, like I said, I was speaking in French. So I didn't sound that much like a tourist and maybe more like someone who's just new in France, somebody that moved to France just now and is just finding their way around with their few little limited scrappy friends. So when I was asking people about Notre Dame, maybe of course it didn't occur to them that I was a tourist, but they just thought I just wanted to go to the church, you know, as a person that lives in the city, as a faithful citizen. And I suppose this is the reason why it didn't occur to them to send me to the big one, you know. I decided after this whole thing that I wanted to give this one more shot. Okay, so I wanted to try one more time to go to, you know, the Notre Dame. But that was a very awkward position because I had to find a way to ask it that doesn't sound, okay, I don't know how to put this, offensive to the other Notre Dames. I didn't want to be like, hey, how do I go to the Notre Dame? You know, the real one, not the other ones, the big one. I honestly didn't know how to ask it exactly. The real one, the big one, you know which one. Anything sounded a little bit off. I tried all of them and I did end up going to one more Notre Dame. And yeah, it was wrong again. So I saw not one, but two, and maybe even three, I don't remember very well, but at least two Notre Dames for sure. None of them, you know, the one that you all know about. Maybe I'm the kind of person that doesn't just go to the touristic places. Okay, I don't just go to the touristic places. I'm the kind of person that really looks for the local, small local diamonds. Okay, for those little places that the many don't know and the few keep to themselves. Like the Notre Dame. I thought I could work this angle, you know, I could come back to Greece and be like, oh, did you see Notre Dame? Oh, well, I have something better for you. Not only I saw Notre Dame, I saw the next big thing when it comes to Notre Dame's. You probably haven't heard about it, but you're gonna start listening about this pretty soon. Let me tell you, you know. it's definitely on the rise. Eventually, I decided to give up and just go back home. I was like, it's fine, I'm gonna come back in a few years and see it. That didn't go very well either, and I decided to go back home and rest. And the reason for that is that the same day I had a very big, very crazy now, but I think back to it time. It was my first stand-up comedy show in English that I had ever done in my life at that point. Okay, I'm just realizing that this is getting really long, and I'm probably gonna have to break this in two parts. So we're gonna stop this. We're gonna put a stop right here. I've actually finished filming. I've said the whole story, but I'm gonna stop it now and say goodbye for this week, and then you can come back and stick around and listen to the rest of the story the week after, next Friday. So thank you so much, and see you next Friday for the rest of the story. Bye bye.